So we are going to have Stamina Esports up against Sazouzou. So I'm going to leave you with the casters for this match. Tanner and Magical, take it away.
All right, Kel, we'll see you on the other side of the series, but we are going to get underway for our round 3 matchup. And both these teams, they've only dropped a single game in that last round 2 that we were just talking about. Every team pretty much moved out of round 1 undefeated. And then in round 2, it was close from all our teams. We even saw that Nouns ended up losing in their series and got dropped down a little bit in the 1-1 bracket. But that was in a game 3 that was very close. But we also saw probably the only adaptation really from any of our teams that sadly wasn't on our broadcast, though we are seeing it already here for Stamina, is not seeing the 4 that we've been seeing consistently banned away. The Glaring Rapidash, Psyduck, Umbreon, Blissey. Those have been the 4 that have been pretty much on the bench permanently, but we will have 2 of those 4 guaranteed to make it to the Thea Skyruns because Slowbro and Absol are the picks to get banned. Then Mimikyu.
I absolutely love this, Magical. What this shows us is that because right now we have, I believe, Latin North, Latin South, actually, against Europe here with Summer Esports versus Monsazuzo. But it just shows how well these teams know each other. They may be in different regions here, Magical, but they know we need to target these bans. We have to take Absol out, we have to take Mimikyu out, and that says a lot about how well these teams know each other.
And I like this pick right there. The Umbreon locked in by Stamina. Yes, Psyduck, Blissey, both of them are available. But it is not likely that you're going to try to go for double supporters, especially with Inteleon left up. So they decide to go for the Blissey, which means Psyduck is gifted over to Stamina, and Miraidon can still be a reliable pick that can target the Inteleon's range.
Yeah, and Rezu has been cooking on that Inteleon in recent battles, so I'm really hyped this. We've got Garchomp coming out to play. I like Ranma picking up the Miraidon. It enables you to have that range with that charge beam, and you're going to need to combat the range coming from Rezu there. So Katar picking up Blastoise now, even though other defenders are probably higher in regards to how well that they can play, Blastoise will always be a solid pick here, Magical. You have great CC, and Hydra Typhoon is one of the best Unite moves in the game.
Yeah, I feel like all defenders besides Umbreon are in a pretty good spot that you can go based off your personal preference, and it's still going to provide a lot for the team. That Blastoise, I think, will work for Monsterzozo pretty well. But I see a Sword Doggo and Lucario locked in by Stamina, and then the Fire Chicken will be there as well. So Blaziken, I was kind of talking about this before, that we have been seeing Blaziken fall off a little bit with the likes of Urshifu really taking that spot of secure objectives reliably. But Klaus has always loved to play that Blaziken, so playing it again here up against Stamina Esports.
Yeah, this is the joy of when you have a certain sort of area of Mons so good in this game. All-rounders are in a great position in this game right now, Magical. And what that means is that some start to go back under the radar. Others get picked more often. I mean, Lucario doesn't get played a ridiculous amount, but every time it is, it's a very good Mon. Blaziken maybe losing out slightly to the Shifu recently. And Metagross is one of the best picks in the game, but doesn't get utilized that much because there's so many all-rounders that are great right now. Of course, we're seeing that the Garchomp, the rise of Garchomp has been massive recently, and they didn't do that much to it either. It's just how this meta has shifted, Magical, means that Garchomp now has a comfortable position to be able to rip things, really.
And it's kind of going into what you're talking about. Because all-rounders are in such a good position, things like Garchomp that want battles to kind of be a little bit more prolonged and really be in the face of their opponents is thriving because of that. They love when everyone is rumbling, fighting all over the place because that means they get to do the same thing. That's when they're the most powerful. They don't like metas where things are more poke heavy. They're having to sit to the side and wait it out. So as we get into our first game of our 3rd round of Swiss Stamina Esports, Monsterzozo, they've made it to the Thea Skyruns, and I want to see how their different identities as compositions go are going to match against one another, especially because having that Garchomp as a good all-rounder with a Blaziken, it does more mean that they are looking for a little bit more late game compared to that of Stamina Esports with that Zacian that is going to be powerful pretty much at every stage.
Yeah, 100%. And they've taken it down to that basement lane, which is really interesting because, of course, you do have Lucario here. If they can take that farm away from them on the side of Monsazuzo, which they do, they're going to be in a good position. And what we've got to remember here, Magical, is we're going to have a level 5 Miraidon coming into that lane with a really good power spike compared to the Combusken. As you've mentioned, Combusken, of course, they want to hit Blaziken to really get those strong power spikes. Miraidon's already there.
Exactly. And you got quite a distance before Klaus is going to have that Blaziken that can kind of bring that tour de force into some of these fights. But Psyduck leading the charge right now for the ulterior camp. They get the first knockout onto that Combusken, then follow it up on a Chansey double for Miraidon. That's that powerhouse we were just talking about. As Psyduck really making that poor Gible struggle, was taking away some of the berries and saying, hey, look at me in the flex zone, look at the Psyduck. And too much attention was put onto that Psyduck, which means that the Lucario was able to get some nice dunks, get some nice points for the team, and now might even turn it back onto the Gible to get another knockout, but Psyduck is going to secure it.
Psyduck is still such a fantastic one despite any changes. And what's really interesting here, Magical, is that Stamina Esports have gone for the Electro Drift Miraidon. Never mind going for that range. They're not worried about that if they can hop onto the Inteleon and destroy it on the spot. We're about to hit these mid-bird spawning up here. It seems like the entirety of Stamina Esports are going to show and grab all of it. Monsazuzo are like, yeah, you know what? You can have it, buddy. We don't want that.
Especially, we were talking about, their composition needs to scale for Monsazuzo. They need that Blaziken that's now there on the Sky Ruins. They need Garchomp that is still a level away from that. Even bot path, we saw that the War Turtle just got knocked out by Umbreon, which means more points are being picked up by Stamina. These crucial power spikes for Monsazuzo haven't yet been hit, and even when they get these evolutions, they still need more levels. They need the Unite moves to really be able to go up evenly against Stamina.
One benefit they've got at least. Ooh, we do see some cheeky E-speeding coming out here from Lucario. They do end up in the center of the battle from Monsazuzo. Can they get away? They do have the dash ability. They're 1 HP in a dream, but no, the focus blast from the Blaziken takes them out. Magical Psyduck's there. They have the headache. The passive is going to push them space on through. The Electro Drift comes on in, but it's too much. They take them down. The War Turtle does fall, but Blaziken is finally on the field, and boy, are they ready to cook.
And now the Zacian has shown up. They had the mean look to lock in that and make up another knockout onto Gabite while they turn their attention on to the Regieleki. It is going to be what they decide to try to secure the kick a little too early, but still gets it. Taken by Monsazuzo, but now they've got to escape with their lives, and they just could not muster that one. Knocked out, top path, going to fall, even with Regieleki getting all the way to the top pad of Stamina. It is going to be a nice rotation that picks up a double knockout for Monsazuzo, and might even give him enough time to get the dunk onto the top pad, unless, of course, there's another battle back. Electro Drift takes out War Turtle, while all the way over there, Lucario deals with Inteleon.
Wow, that was some crazy action. It feels like Monsazuzo got some really strong KOs, but even though the Lecky went in, Stamina Esports have done what they need to do. They continue to score points. They continue to get KOs. They're still in the lead right now, but Blaziken is becoming a problem. They are managing to dash away, but E-Speed Lucario wants to take them, diving onto the pad, and they do. And missing that snipe shot means the 17 duck rolls on in. We've got the Hydro Typhoon coming from the Blastoise. They haven't been able to get the KO yet, and with that Electro Drift Miraidon, they're just going to rain down the meteors now. Magical, buy their team some space to get on out of there. That was a huge KO for them, but Garchomp, they want to keep on cooking. We've got a Registeel down in this basement lane. They managed to put them on to the mean look. There's the Bliss Assistance trying to explode anybody in their way. The Living Outrage comes out to play. We're ripping the Registeel. There's the Sovereign Sword, but it doesn't beat the Blaziken. They take it for Monsazuzo. They hit the Zacian with that snipe shot, and now they want to push onto this pad.
And this is the problem that you have to deal with the Stamina. They are starting to scale for Monsazuzo, and they're feeling a lot more powerful in these fights. We're looking for the kick, but it's going to be the knockout on Miraidon on one side as they deal with the Psyduck. And now look for Lucario to join the bench. And even that Umbreon, you thought you're tanky, but with all 5 of Monsazuzo, they're dunking, taking care of the bot path and taking care of Stamina Esports.
Yeah, I mean, they have managed to get themselves rightly back into this game. There's only 10 points between these teams now, Magical, and they're feeling pretty comfortable with a level 12 Garchomp on the field as we just duck onto this mid-game. And they're going to grab all that farm in the top lane as well. They want to get themselves nice and fed as we come into the next team fight. That Lecky's there. No team going for it yet. It looks like they just want to grab all these yellow dots.
And Stamina, this is the problem they have to deal with. They were going to always win the early game. They had the competition that just is stronger at that point. But if you're not absolutely destroying that early game, this mid game, now that it's even, is going to be difficult for them to deal with, especially with that Garchomp and Blaziken on the other side. As we see Blissey secure the Regieleki, and now that everyone's rotated up from Montezozo, this is where they dominate. Double knockout for Garchomp, top pad to fall.
43 overdunk as well, and a T1 goal is absolutely massive, buddy. That is really a good position to be in. Now they have the lead, but I like this from Stamina Esports. Get some points in yourself. Of course, that does mean that Zacian can't boost up their moves, getting rid of that Eos energy, but they're ready for an ambush here if they can steal one. Nope, they're going to go on home, but this basement Reggie does spawn. Sazouzou, they're rotating in. Of course, Umbreon does have some good vision on them, but so did Garchomp. They dive onto the Umbreon. The Beetle's going to keep it away, but Blastoise is zoning them out right now, whilst the rip on this rock goes to the side of Sazouzou. It's free real estate right now, Magical.
I think it's smart, though, from Stamina not to contest that one too heavily. They know where the majority of the members of Montezozo were, so that gave time for Lucario to get a lot of the camps in the top path, but now you're dealing with a 2-level deficit, having to go up against Garchomp, and then the dive in from the Fire Chicken to find out where Lucario is, while you do go for a double dash. A lot of time has been burned for Lucario. Not able to reset, not able to go for the recall, and still behind in levels.
All right, we're 30 seconds away from the Rayquaza spawning. The stage is pretty much set here. There's not much farm. It is going to be around. We do see both teams trying to grab what they can, but levels-wise, it does seem like it's on the side of Sazouzou right now. Points-wise, it 100% is, but in this final stretch, Magical, we know that difference means absolutely nothing, but we are down to at least T2 targets.
And when we look at Rayquaza right now, Montezozo, they're going to feel a lot more powerful. They don't have to go for the Rayquaza, but even if they decide to, having Blaziken always means you have to secure, and taking out Umbreon going to make it a lot easier. Electro Drift into the pit. A lot of damage is there. They get knocked out. The Miraidon's gone. Again, they're trying to dive, do the best they can, but Stamina just don't have anything left in the tank, and Montezozo take down the dragon. There's the surrender vote for game one to be given over to Montezozo.
Wow, I mean, yeah, fair play to them. The difficulty is when you have Inteleon zapping your stamina away with crit hits, Magical, it's so difficult for you to keep your team up despite what healing you have. It does so much damage and you just can't get onto it. Great play from both teams, but what a way to fight that Rayquaza battle for Sazouzou.
And this is where you look at the compositions for the two teams and you look at the scaling elements of Montezozo that just are impossible really to deal with unless you are that far ahead as Stamina Esports. You have the Miraidon, you have Psyduck, you have Umbreon, Lucario, Zacian. All of them have earlier spikes than Montezozo's entire comp. But if you're not absolutely dominating, getting into those power spikes of yours and finding these leads that make it so that you're snowballing, and when you get to these later fights, you are already 2 levels ahead, even if you're just even, you're behind the pace that you needed to be able to take down Blaziken, take down Inteleon, Blastoise, Garchomp. They're impossible for you really to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it proves the point by the fact that once we see Klaus get into that Blaziken stance, I think Stamina were only 35 points ahead in the game at that point, buddy. And that's just not enough for you to have had a massive impact in the early stages. Because as you mentioned, as soon as those power spikes come online with the Blaziken, with the Garchomp, that means Stamina Esports are going to be on the back foot if they haven't given themselves enough of a lead. So it really did come back down to that Rayquaza battle. I think we're going to see that a lot from these teams. Look here, for an example, literally just millimeters ahead really in the point lead. As we hit the 4-minute mark, they get, what, 41 points ahead? That's just not enough for them to be able to have won that early game and not be too concerned about the power spikes that Sazouzou really managed to get going with.
They also didn't get any of the Reggies. All Reggies picked up by sorry, the other way around. It was Stamina were really struggling in order to kind of compete up against Montezozo when it came to how they were fighting around the Reggies. So
Mhm.
Montezozo having a lot of that kind of go their way, where they are able to secure these objectives. Fire Chicken, great at doing so. So it's hard to argue against that. Be like, yeah, that's kind of why you picked the Blaziken in the first place, is to secure this. But you want to make sure you're at least getting one of them early enough so that you're not worried about the later ones that you're pretty much guaranteeing that the Blaziken might even throw away their lives just to secure.
I mean, there was that Lecky where Garchomp dived on in and the Bliss assistance locked it in, but with the damage that dropped, so it felt like Monsazo, even if you do manage to, zone out the Blaziken, it ain't enough. They had ways of making sure they got those objectives, and to prove a point, they got every single objective pretty much in that game. So I think Stamina Esports are going to need to change some things here. I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's definitely something that they need to go back to the board with, because they didn't get any of those objectives, and objectives are so important in this game, Magical.
Mhm. And I kind of want to even go towards the draft and how we did see there's one change from pretty much all the other games that we've seen on stream between these two teams, and that was Purple Side not locking in Inteleon first. You were talking about the possibility of changing up the bands. We've been seeing consistently the four I was talking about before: Psyduck, Umbreon, Galarian, Rapidash, and Blissey. Those were the four that have been primarily banned by every single team. But when you let those through, that means maybe you're putting that focus onto something like an Umbreon, sure. But Inteleon is still very strong. And if you're not banning that away, that is guaranteeing that Orange is going to take that. And that is what Montezozo did. They grabbed on to that Inteleon, and having such great damage from great range is difficult for you to deal with, especially if you are not snowballing ahead and have these great divers that can stay on top of Inteleon and negate the snipe shot in the first place.
100%. And the thing is, these teams already have been playing Inteleon for a while. Rezu has been playing Inteleon on a weekly basis for the EU Weekly. So the fact that he got a recent buff, despite the fact that they're already very comfortable on that Mon, means that you need to consider that to be a huge threat, Magical. So
I remember after Worlds, when we were still casting some of the weeklies then, they were playing it back then. And that's when nobody was playing Inteleon. They still were playing it. So that's how long they have been practiced on to Inteleon. It is so much focus that they have on to that Mon that it's no surprise they want to get that early. And when we see how right now these bans are slow growth and Blissey banned by Stamina, while we do get another one of the classic four in Galarian Rapidash to join the bench, we still have Psyduck that is available, Umbreon, Inteleon. These are great picks for any team to lock in, and Stamina opt to go for Umbreon.
Yeah, what I do like about what Monzazo do is every time they do pick that Inteleon, they make sure they have a strong front line to deal with it. They've managed to get Psyduck now. That's going to be even better for keeping people off. I mean, Rezu is already hard to catch, right, Magical? They've got the Fell Stinger. They're already a nightmare to catch. But now you have Surf. You have all-rounders that they bring into the battle that you just cannot break through. So really, they put the onus on the opposite team to make sure that you can lock in that range. Stamina Esports, they took the Miraidon previously. They're going to go so again here. But it was the Electro Drift. And whilst they did get plenty of KOs with it, Magical, they didn't really have an answer to the range that Montazazo have.
Exactly, and that's the difference when you go for Electro Drift over Charge Beam, is whether or not you're going to have that consistent range to match up against Inteleon. And even think back to what we were just talking about that months ago after Worlds, where we were seeing Rezu play this Inteleon. It was because it was an answer to Miraidon when Miraidon was even more powerful. So having the fact that it is going to be that Miraidon to maybe match up against the range of Inteleon, I think you have to get the Charge Beam to do something about how much is going to be put down onto you by every single snipe shot. And I like this adaptation from Stamina. Taking Garchomp and Urshifu, both great at diving into the back line.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart play. If you can take a Mon away from the team that you feel are going to take it, That's always going to be a smart play. Klaus very surely was going to go for Aegislash there, Magical, but they've gone back onto the Blaziken. Now, Aegislash we've been seeing quite a lot of recently with the recent changes that it had, but it seems like they want to stick to the secure god of Blaziken in this game. And with the fact that they no longer have the opposite secure, they've gone for the Buzzwole here. That's really not a surprise.
And looking at the difference in each composition, right? Stamina have more options and more opportunities for late game that is, I think, going to lean more into how they can compete against Sazouzou's late game that we know is already drafted in Teleon. Same with having that Blaziken, but for Sazouzou, they also now have answers for that early and mid game. Psyduck is going to be a decent one. We even saw in the last game, the Psyduck, despite being on the losing team, and despite being a support, was second most damage for Stamina Esports. That's how much damage the Psyduck can do early on while providing the support that can help out the rest of the team. They're kind of expecting that here from Sazouzou, along with a Buzzwole, one of the strongest early game mons.
I mean, is it a surprise that they didn't allow Psyduck to Evo in this game? But if it's doing that much damage as a Psyduck, imagine if it managed to become Golduck. Because
it's because
so
nobody remembers Golduck, and props out to my Golduck brethren out there. I miss you and I love you too. One day.
One day, definitely. So here we go. It's going to be the second game of this round 3 for the Switch. We're going to see Shifu taking the jungle for Stamina Esports, and no surprise, it's going to be the Blaziken doing the same for Sazouzou.
Right now, no cheeky invade. Sometimes you see that when you have a Hoopa, go for a little bit of pressure onto the opposition. But Stamina instead looking to put pressure onto the Buzzwole in the top path, take away any of the Bunnelbees that they can, and even putting up a good fight with the Gibble. I'm surprised they were able to get the eject button out of this Buzzwole so early on.
Gabite may be cute, but it bites, and it bites massively, but it does so much damage. People often forget because of how small it is, but you pair that with a Hooper, that is going to be an interesting top lane. Down here, though, nearly managing to get Umbreon on the field, but that gets stolen away, so it definitely feels like advantage-wise, they may have it in the top side for Stamina, but down here, Sazouzou are feeling very comfortable.
And that's where I'm worried for Stamina. If the bot is doing well or even just decently, that Inteleon is going to be here a lot sooner than you realize. The Drizzile is on the field and still going to be powerful. Back into the top path, we do see the fight over the ulterior camp goes over to Urshifu. Those early levels, beating out that Glossifleur that's not yet Neldegoss, having some nice dunks and points secured by Stamina, giving him early lead.
Yeah, smart play by Stamina Esports. Bring up that Shifu and just cause that damage. They get KOs, they get scores, but look at this from Rezu. They're going to go invade this jungle, steal what piece of farm they can. Umbreon, they are prepared. They see something going on in here, but they think, no, I can't be too distracted, whilst Rezu continues to steal it all. They do manage to score more points, though, here, Majo. 68 to the big donut on the board.
It's giving a nice lead for Stamina, and this is kind of what we wanted to see in the last game, and getting these early leads, but in this game, I think it's just as important because they have more scaling options. They weren't as fussed with getting these early leads, but having them is going to really help them overcome what we know is going to be the powerhouses in Inteleon and Blaziken that now have been evolved for Sazouzou. While this Buzzwole has been punished pretty heavily. He's an early game monster, but he needs some support, and this is when you get it with everyone rotating into the top path. The slam back to drag in more battlers and continue the pressure onto the top pad so they can now turn around a lot of these dunks, but denied by Urshifu, who dove in at the charge beam, trying to get a little bit of damage with low health bars onto the side of Sazouzou. Nobody knocked out, though. Qatar somehow surviving, not having to go back to the Pokemon Center just yet, instead healing back up the team and making Urshifu be the one that's taken down by the slam of Buzzwole. Charge beam only doing so much damage.
Wow, that was off the top ropes, was that one, buddy. They managed to get rid of Shifu, and now they can put the pressure on, but the difficulty is doing the bot bug. Gusten's been caught out. The mean look has taken them down with the advantage of that charge beam. The serve from Psyduck will buy some space for their team, but now that you don't have Buzzwole there, you can no longer push that pad realistically. But the Garchompers come down to this basement lane because Blaziken is doing what Blaziken does, but they're off laning right now, and they're going to continue to score these points while they go for this basement red strategy.
And we even saw just momentarily, it was a great eject button away from Inteleon to get out of danger against Urshifu, because that could have been the do or die for the spot lane play is if Inteleon falls, because then Urshifu feels a little bit more powerful. But now that Garchomp is here as well to try to defend the Regirock, can't beat that kick from the Blaze Chicken. And now they're trying to get away while also taking some pop shots, but it's going to be difficult with a mean look to lock him down. The charge being to get a lot on to Blaziken, but in the flux zone gets enough movement speed to get away while Bot Pad is nearly devastated by stamina. On to Zozo though, Top Pad, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, that's going to be full stacks for Buzzwole, and they're going to continue seeing what they can steal from this. The Garchomp, probably not the target you want to be coming up against paired with that Umbreon. They may be caught out here, but the supports are here to provide the assistance. We have the Surf, we got the healing. There's the big Swole Slam, but it isn't getting any KOs. They're trying to run now. Full power Sai, giving them some space. I don't think that's going to be enough.
No.
Garchomp drags them on back, buddy. There's the Moonlight Prance. They're beginning to clean up on Sazouzou up in this top lane. 1 HP and a dream for the Elder Gods. They do manage to get out, but Blaziken does not.
At least Blaziken took one out with them. That, I think, is the big thing for Montezoso. So it's not going to be a full wipe. Had that not happened, Stamina could have continued this push to look to see if they could collapse the top pad that only has 12 points left to do so. So the fact that it was just a little bit of a silver lining for Montezoso, it's enough for them to still be confident, scaling up into the game. Level 11, we're getting those double digits that are massive for both Blaziken and Inteleon.
What I am liking here is that Stamina Esports have recognized that they need to pair up that poke damage, buddy. Oh my god, Shifu, that was brutal. But yes, they need to pair up that range damage, and with Miraidon taking that charge beam, it's meant this Inteleon hasn't managed to get even more levels like usually. Oh my god, though, the rings are let loose and the damage comes raining on down. They can't escape that one. Buzzwole tries to pick up the Hooper, but it's too mighty. It doesn't get a KO, and the Livid Outrage is here. They're raining down the damage. Blaziken gets caught out in the mean look, and that's gonna be 2 KOs for Miraidon. The Assist by Vision does get popped by the Inteleon. Can they get any KOs with it though? Because Regirock's only at the half health. That is gonna disappear. They do have the snipe shots, but it seems like Stamina Esports have Monstazzo's number right now. Regirock is so weak. Who's gonna get the secure? Oh my god, they were so close, but it's gonna be Shifu securing that one.
I don't think the fight's done just yet. Buzzwole back in. Super Slam takes down one more knockout onto Hoopa. And even though Regirock was secured by Stamina, it is going to be the bot pad almost taken down. 2 points left, but they want to get that huge overdunk. 50 points there from Inteleon, and even getting the damage onto this back line. Miraidon slammed back down, but nice use of the lightning to deny the 50-point overdunk that could have been there for Montezoso.
Very smart play by Stamina Esports there, Magical. They recognized that they were trying to get that 50 dunk in, so now they've had to dunk it with less. Buzzwole, they're not happy with that, though. They want to continue brawling on out, but with that pad being let loose, they do decide to retreat. The mean look is here, though. They're not going to be able to go anywhere. The Cotton Cloud Crash comes on out. TT keep them around. These portals are absolutely huge for Stamina Esports right now. Shifu's going to come on back. Can they take the Buzzwole? I can't believe they managed to survive this long. That's a second Livid Outrage coming on out to clean them up, and with the Elder Gods falling, Stamina Esports, they've taken the lead by 6 points, and they've got massive KOs from that.
But it's only 6 points, Tano, and we are getting close to Rayquaza. So the big thing, I think, is the fact that this Regieleki not able to crash in, denied by Psyduck. They're keeping that at bay, and then waiting out the timer until Rayquaza is up. There are a lot of opportunities for Montezoso to get back in this game, to take the lead, especially with how minuscule it is for Stamina Esports.
It's absolutely nothing right now. The smallest of backcaps would give you the lead, but this is really going to come down to who wins this next team fight. And of course, they have a little bit more range with that snipe shot than the charge beam from Miraidon, and they're so difficult to catch anyway. We're 10 seconds away from Rayquaza spawning, and Inteleon's going to continue just dropping this poke damage. Trying to get a backcap here is the Garchomp, though, with the 50 dunk. That's going to lure that one in. That's going to be a hundo burger.
Yeah, they're going to get that now. That is a big lead you can rely on if you're Stamina. They're pushing back Sazouzou. The rings have been unbound, and they're trying to see if they can get onto the Inteleon with a nice mean look, but not enough damage. Surviving. The Garchomp is there, looking for Blaziken as they take him down. It's a 1-for-1 trade at the moment, but look at how much they've done to the Inteleon. Getting out of there. He no longer can be a part of this, but the Buzzwall, Ultra Swole Slam takes out Miraidon, looking for Garchomp. But Garchomp re-engaging, but with the support on the other side. The Buzzwall slams down the hammer once more with another portal opened up. It's Urshifu's time in the ring to try to take down the Buzzwall. Might be able to do it now that Umbreon's there, but with a side up to back him up, makes it difficult for Stamina to continue that, especially now that Inteleon Rezu was able to heal up all the damage that had been done before, and the snipe shots remove Umbreon from the list, but Miraidon has re-engaged, is back in the fight. It's a cure for Stamina, taken away Rayquaza. Sazouzou's only hope now gone.
Wow, they felt like Blaziken was going to be able to lock that one down. They have managed to destroy some shields here, though. If they can take down these KOs and make a push themselves, there's only 106 points between them. That's not too much, but Rezu, oh, they fell stinged into the bush, and Garchomp was there to pop them away. If they can take these KOs, they can score these points, and Stamina Esports is going to take us to a third game with that triple KO, Magical.
Nicely done by Stamina. Secure the Rayquaza despite the Blaziken. Secure the win at the bot path, and game 3 inevitable as we get the last little bits of KDA that are going to add it up to Stamina, making it look like they got a lot larger of a lead and advantage throughout the whole game. But well fought from both sides, and game 3 well deserved from Stamina Esports.
Yeah, I understand the chain of thought from Sazouzou there. They feel like they have enough secure to get that rip on and take it, but you can never count out a Shifu, buddy, especially when it's on that Stamina Esports side, and they managed to secure that one and give their team a huge win. 11 KOs as well. Reggie, you take that MVP, buddy.
Oh, 100%. Even if it wasn't the KDA, even if it wasn't the knockouts and the assists, stealing away a Rayquaza with a Blaziken on the other side, always going to be a highlight moment for any player, especially because it means they survive and they can get into game 3. They have another chance of taking down Sazouzou and moving on as an undefeated team when it comes to best of 3 sets.
I gotta say, I actually think the charge being picked up by Ramma there was huge in that game, Magical. It felt like they were really managing to at least combat a bit of what Rezu was doing. Of course, if they were on that Electro Drift, it probably meant that they were able to get that 50 dunk in a lot easier, just with how well they were zoning out anyone coming their way. So I think that charge beam was a huge shout out for them to pick up. 99k damage being what the most in the entire game here. That just shows how well that was of a move to pick up.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we were talking about in game 1 with the Miraidon not having that went for the Electric Drift in game 1. Charge Beam more capable of matching up against Inteleon. So definitely a good change up of strategies for Stamina, plus having these 2 mons that are good at scaling and diving on top of Inteleon and Garchomp and Urshifu. I think a lot of what Stamina brought into this game were great at combating the strength that Sazouzou showed in game 1.
Look how close this game was, though, mate. Ridiculously close. It really did come down to that Rayquaza battle, as we suspected. These 2 teams are absolutely fantastic. Either of them deserve to win it, but they are proper going at each other. And I couldn't be more excited for this game 3, buddy. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know who's going to take this one away.
And this is where we have to look at the strategies that teams have been bringing and how you kind of adapt when it comes to the pick and bans. You were asking about this before when I was talking about the classic 4 bans that we've been having throughout the day, and really recently when you look at anything competitive. Is Inteleon going to join them as like a 5th member? Just that outlier that kind of shows up every once in a while, because it has been picked so early by so many teams. And here you almost wonder, Sazouzou, if they decide to swap up sides so that they can take the Inteleon a little bit earlier, or if maybe they can go for a slightly better pick than the Inteleon, because Umbreon has been let through quite a decent amount of time. Psyduck has been finding their way a little bit more often as well, and maybe those are picks that they need to put a little bit more priority on as opposed to the Inteleon, but it's hard to do so when the Umbreon is picked first time on the purple side.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, like with the Inteleon, is some teams may feel like they want to risk it and they want to give it a go, see if they can get to it and get those KOs. But when a team knows how to protect that attacker the way that Monsazuzo do, that makes it incredibly hard. So you need to go back to the drawing board and think about what the next steps will be. Of course, we talk a lot about the Inteleon, but the rest of the team makes it work. We've got the Psyduck that's constantly protecting it. The Surfs are working a treat for them. The all-rounders are so hard to get through, and Eldegoss was putting in an absolute shift there, keeping those all-rounders around, so you can't worry about the Inteleon because you've got the all-rounders in your face constantly, Magical, and it's a really well-balanced comp that they've managed to find that works for them, and that's the biggest thing. They're comfortable on this, it's working for them, and it feels like that Stamina Esports, they just need to find out how they break through that. I mean, of course, they did manage to win that game with having the secure of Shifu, but it did feel like at that Rayquaza battle, they were losing it at that stage. That's why they went for the rip on the side of Monsazuzo. So I think they just haven't quite worked out how to break through the front line that they bring and get onto that back range.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a coin flip at that point because it's difficult, especially up against not just the Inteleon, but the Blaziken that we're talking about too, with that Blaze Kick that is great at securing objectives. Urshifu is also no slouch at doing that too, has great burst damage that can also take down these objectives if you know how to time it right. And we did see that Stamina did a good job, but it looks like we are going to have a swapping of sides for our two teams. So for Stamina, I'm really curious to see what they opt to ban in this one, if they decide to take away the Inteleon, or as we saw from Monsazozo, they were banning Galarian Rapidash permanently on our orange side. Maybe, just maybe, we get that let through. It happened earlier. Nouns Esports did get to play it. Ghatlue actually was the one who played the Galarian Rapidash earlier. Sadly, we didn't get to see it on this stream, but I believe the Spanish stream had that locked in and we're able to watch that. So I'm really curious to see how Stamina Esports are going to approach this game.
Yeah, because the thing is, the onus is on you to ban that Rapidash if you are on the orange side. So, you know, it's one of those where you don't have a choice. It's pretty much guaranteed for you. What are we going to see Monsazuzo go for the second ban? Are they going to go for the Rapidash? Oh, they're going to take it away. That is such an interesting play there, Magical.
No, it's because they knew Stamina were going to flip it. They were willing to sacrifice and give over the Galarian Rapidash and say you either get the Galarian Rapidash or the Inteleon. And I think Monsazozo realized that. That is why they banned that. They don't want to have the flip. Galarian Rapidash too good, especially against something like an Inteleon. They decided they don't even want to risk it. I think Monsazozo make a proper call here, but Psyduck, Umbreon, both of them are available for Stamina to grab for themselves. Umbreon is the first one. I'm expecting that Psyduck to be the second.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it's such smart play by Stamina Esports. Oh, they're going to take the Eldegoss. That actually works so well for Monsazuzo. So that, again, they're going to try and sneak a Mon away from them. But it does mean Qatar gets access to this Psyduck again. That's a very surprising pick by Stamina Esports.
Yeah, very surprised by that one. But it could just be, as you were talking about, it's just something they felt good with. It felt really good in that victory in Game 2. They decided to go back to that one, but Urshifu has been taken away. No Blaziken just yet. Of course, they could still go it, but with Klaus holding onto the Urshifu, very unlikely that that is going to be the case. More than likely, going to be just Urshifu with a different all-rounder for the composition, while Stamina pretty much picking the same composition outside of that Urshifu. Reggie's got some options to go for and say, what do we want to replace this Urshifu? Well, we have the exact same comp, but we lose out. There's a Garchomp too, so that's going to be something that they can't rely on either.
I mean, it looks to me like we're going to end up with the same comps, just swapping the Shifu and Blaziken. Oh, they're going to take the Hooper on the side of Monsazuzo, so the rotations are going to be absolutely huge. It's worked for them already, though, Magical. Of course, they like being able to get those back caps or push. You go for that T2 and score those points. I'm going to bring you in. Oh, my God, we have a Dodrio coming in as well. Reggie, they might not be able to get the Rapidash, but we're going to get the quick KFC chicken anyway.
Just going for that backline, truly. Stamina Esports. They see this composition from Monsazozo, and we were saying how in Game 1, there was this early composition identity for Stamina. They have ways to win out early, but they had to get these early leads and snowball. What better way to snowball than a Dodrio? Something that is great at stampeding over the competition, but they gotta make sure that they are lining up those early knockouts. They have to get those early leads that they did not get in game 1. Otherwise, the scaling is still there for Sazouzou.
Yeah, and it's absolutely huge because this is now going to at least mean that Rezu has to sweat a little bit on this Inteleon in a sense that they know the pressure's coming and they know that Dodrio is capable of at least getting to it because, of course, you have a way of getting around those all-rounders if you utilize that Dodrio correctly. So you have that opportunity to at least get close to the Inteleon. So Rezu's now going to be having to think constantly about, do I have my back route open? Can I retreat? I can't dive in here because Dodrio's coming. And I like this. It means that Inteleon's going to have a little bit more about their game in this one.
And I'm curious, too, to see if Stamina go back for the Electro Drift Miraidon to back off the stampeding Dodrio and Buzzwole that they have for their composition. It's do or die right now for these two teams in game 3. This is the only one that matters if they're going to move on into the upper parts of the Swiss. Be one of the undefeated teams going into round 4, or if they're going to go down just slightly in the Swiss into the 2-1 bracket.
And again, we have the battle between Buzzwole and Gibble up here. Yeah, it's the Ultra Beast versus the adorable little Land Shark, and they come out on top, buddy. They take down Swole, so that's going to be harder for them to hit level 5 that early, and they want to continue with the pressure. The Citrus Berry comes out from Hooper, and they steal that farm away.
And we saw this happen last time, but it was Stamina who were the ones that got the lead up against that Buzzwole and Glossifleur. Pretty much the reverse of fate for Stamina, because they were the ones that went for Buzzwole with Glossifleur struggling up against that Gibble. And like you said, people always underestimate that cute little land shark and what it's able to do, but it's still a land shark. It's mouth full of teeth that can chomp down.
That it can, and now it's Gabite. They do push down onto the farm there. They've got so much damage onto Buzzwole. They don't have level 5 yet. Oh my god, they just missed the water gun. They want to continue pushing. Can they get the 29 in for the Gabite? Yes, they can. They have really dominated that top lane, but what I'm liking from Stamina Esports is answering by coming down here, put the pressure in the opposite lane, score these points, pick up that KO. This is huge for them.
Ooh, Psyduck getting a little bit low there with the help of that Charge Beam, so it is going to be the Charge Beam. We were wondering whether it was going to be Electro Drift or Charge Beam that was opted for Miraidon, and I do like having that poke for the team. But right there, getting chased away by a Hoopa, as we saw that this Drizzile, having invaded, was able to find a knockout, and now might be able to do the same with an eject button away, but followed up by Drizzile saying, no escaping for you, Dragon.
Oh man, I can't believe this Inteleon has been allowed to do these things throughout this entire set, buddy. It's fantastic play by them, and they're so hard to catch. We're going to see Dodrio score some points into this pad here. Shifu's getting ready with a wicked blow, but the mean look says no. They come on in with the drill peck, and the Shifu gets felled back to the Pokemon Center for the big bear. The aggression from Stamina Esports has been huge, and that Charge Beam, they pick up Hooper with it. The trample, the drill peck is huge for Dodrio, but they're so weak. Inteleon finds the answer yet again with Psyduck.
The problem with Dodrio is you have a lot of burst, but it's usually only onto one target, and once it is on cooldown, you don't have much left. And because Inteleon was still free-firing, not the one that got knocked out, they're able to take down the bird, make sure that despite the initial play for Stamina, it was an even trade. And if it's going even for Sazouzou, a team that wants to scale, that is a perfect situation for them to find themselves in.
This game is such a testament to how well these two teams play. With that Charge Beam, oh, they nearly picked up Psyduck, but they managed to eject out the way. The Surf comes in. They're 1 HP in a dream, and that does fall. Here comes the wicked blow. Registeel goes over to the side of Sazouzou, and they're not happy with just that one, Magical. They want more. The mean look is here onto the Shifu. They may have wanted more, but they're going to go to the Pokemon Center in return. No, they're not, because the Citrus Berries are there, and they haven't been able to pick up the second one. They're still fighting in the flux, though. Buzzwole falls in the top lane. We're going to have a good defense here from Sazouzou, but that's crazy. The basement lane, so much pressure. They've still managed to stay there. They've taken them both down. Dodrio finally gets the best of them. Triple Trample comes out, but the Xerspy Vision is enough. They take down Dodrio with a 2 KO.
dodging away from everything Dodrio threw at it. Rezu absolutely godlike on this Inteleon, showing how the moves are properly used. The dodge, the dip, the dive, and dodge that came in from Inteleon, and Rezu showing just how good you can be on Inteleon.
This game is electric. We are tied with points right now. Levels are pretty much even across the board. It's massive. The small slam comes down, but they don't pick up the KO. They're sent home, but they're ready for Gachop to come back, throwing them left, right, and center. Off the top ropes, they get the KO, and now they want to push this T1 Magical. This is Stamina Esports feeling really confident in this game.
But still, keep in mind, Tano, we said it before that if the game is even between these two, it favors Sazouzou. They've got the scaling. That Inteleon is scary right now, and they haven't been able to find the answers properly to it just yet, even with a dive onto the Urshifu, almost taking it out. Look at the Inteleon. Now Scary showing up, diving in, looking for the snipe shot. Nearly was able to find the pick on Dodrio on the other side. Just needs one more to land, waiting for the targets. That damage on a Dodrio before it even stampedes in. Double knockout for Rezu, while the Dragon tries to escape with the help of the Meteor Strikes. But they're looking for the bot pad, escalating the situation. A triple knockout. Rezu's godlike on Inteleon. Another snipe shot landing on the Eldegoss, but they are out of there. They are no longer wanting to deal with a frog.
I love the fact that Rezu is forcing teams to consider a ban on Inteleon, buddy. You just have to. You witness this play, and you have to think about how you deal with it. The Registeel goes over to Sazouzou, and they drop the rings. They're let loose to bring up the team. Buzzwole is there. They fall instantly. The Azure Spy vision comes out when they come out the portal. Now they're just going to get these KOs while the rip is on the Lecky. Brilliant play from Sazouzou here. They're going to break this pad, give themselves a tasty 30 overcap, and now they can push this Lecky towards that T2.
But you gotta give a little bit of credit to Silver Lining for Stamina, or that they were able to collapse the bot pad, get some extra points for Dodrio. They're still keeping up relatively in levels, and that could be the saving grace for the team when looking for the dive on Inteleon, who is at level 13, trying to go for one more fight, but they just cannot get anywhere near Inteleon as they're dodging everything. Charge Beam will answer back one knockout onto the guard chomp, but still that Inteleon is the one that you have to get on top of. These meteors crash down onto Hoopa. Charge Beam almost landing, but dodging away, just narrowly escaping, going back in, taking down Maridon.
Buddy, these two are so hard to catch. Inteleon, it's just like it's caked in butter. You can't get close to it. The Lecky's gone in. They want to score some points. The 20 dunk will come in from side dunk. They may get the KO for it, but now they've given themselves a good lead, 234 to 178. But as you say, Magical, Stamina Esports have managed to keep themselves in this game despite all that going on, and that's just a testament to how well they play as a five.
Yes, but still Inteleon reigns supreme. Level 13, and we saw there how much they tried to get on top of Inteleon, onto Rezu. And by the time they reached Inteleon, they were just one auto away from getting knocked out. And it seems like that just might be the case every time. Just every snipe shot chunking them down so low. Just needs to land one after another, and Stamina have to fall back. They can't re-enter. Urshifu is the one that can chase this down with the guard jump, already getting the knockout onto Maridon, and they are still rampaging into the back line as they try to gallop their way onto Inteleon, dragging him back in. Wasn't able to get to the portal in time, so they got rid of Inteleon right when Rayquaza spawned. They got Urshifu too. The miracle is there for Stamina. The slam back onto Hoopa. Even if the rings are unbound, you have been broken. Psyduck tries to surf back in, but now it's Rayquaza. Stamina on it, 50% left, and not enough time on the board for Sazouzou to steal this away on Psyduck. Does it? What? Somehow, Psyduck pulls off the miraculous, stealing away Rayquaza under 5. Can look for one more dunk, but you've done enough, my Sai friend, as you have picked up a win for your team by that alone.
Oh my god, they've just managed to out-secure all 5 Mons from Stamina Esports there, Magical. That is a feat worthy of gods. Psyduck coming out on top. That'll do, Duck. That'll do, but the pressure comes back from Stamina Esports. They're going to push here onto the pad. Of course, they don't have the shields, and the defense is here. They say it's defense that wins championships. It's going to be defenses that wins this game for Sazouzou. They've taken 2, they've taken 3, with 2 left, and Trio and the Umbreon also getting back to their pad. I just think this is going to be enough now. They can push this T2 pad. The spawn timers are so long for Stamina Esports. That can go in, because look what's going in on the opposite side.
And a denial there. Garchomp had retreated and was able to deny the Trio. Sazouzou off the back of Qatar and off the back of the Psyduck will win this series and move on undefeated in our Swiss into the 3-0 part of the bracket. Man, you can't ask for anything better than that out of your Psyduck. And who would have thought, even with it being a support, I talked about it before, still does a lot of damage, and proven right there by winning this game.
Buddy, that honestly should go down as one of the best clips Pokemon Unite has produced since the game release. Psyduck alone against the entirety of Stamina Esports does enough to steal the Rayquaza, but also try and push to the T2. They brought so many away from Stamina Esports to get that KO that Sazouzou had managed to spawn back in and were ready to defend.
And I was looking at the timers and looking at a defense for Sazouzou, so not necessarily that they were going to be able to contest the Rayquaza. I had already in my mind written it off as Stamina Esports. But the fact that it was stolen away right as pretty much every member of Sazouzou revived too meant so many of them were still able to get the shield that was then granted to them by Rayquaza. So it gave them even more to fight back against Stamina and deny that push that could have happened by Stamina, that could have possibly been able to overwrite the Rayquaza win.
I mean, Qatar, take a bow, buddy. You just won that game for Sazouzou. Without that, you do not win that game. 101k damage coming out of Rezu as well. You shout out to them, to be fair, Magical, because to be fair to Stamina Esports, they were managing to get more pressure on that Inteleon than they have in this entire set. But still, Inteleon managed to come out on top. That was such a great set from both of these teams, and it really is no surprise that it came down to that wire there.
I mean, it was a great series, and couldn't ask for anything better in Pokemon Unite than how close these series have been since round 2. This one in round 3, nail-biter of a game for anyone watching, whether you're a fan of Pokemon Unite, whether you're a fan of LATAM or EU. You gotta recognize game when it happens, and those were some incredible games by some incredible players. And honestly, I'm just happy that we were able to see something quite as wild as that one, Tano, as the Psyduck steal on stream.
That was an absolute joy. I mean, Keller, welcome back. What do you think to that one?
It was insane. Love to see it. I mean, I'm actually really surprised that we're not seeing a lot more Inteleon bans coming on forward. So maybe we might see Inteleon land themselves on the chopping block there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. The play on Inteleon has been massive, Magical. I mean, Rezu is so comfortable on that Mon. And the thing is, as we've already mentioned, if you can't get onto it, if you can't break through that front line and get to it, they're just going to sit there all day having an absolute field day.
But it almost happened in that game. They were able to get the Inteleon at the end, where it seemed like this is the time to strike while the iron is hot. We get Rayquaza, Stamina, they win the game, and then the Duck somehow wins the game for them instead. Not who you'd expect at all. And that's why you gotta love Pokemon Unite.